benefits of getting a company mobile phone. So if you've got a mobile phone, do you have it in your own name or do you have it in your company name? In this episode, I'm going to be giving you an overview of why I've taken out a contract mobile phone. So I've taken out a new one. I'm using this as a bit of a diary. So I wanted to log it that this is when I started it. I've already been self-employed as a company director for a year. I didn't take out a business contract in the first year. However, I have now decided to take out a contract. What we mean by that is a mobile phone, not in my name, in the name of the business. So is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Why you should do that? Will it help you? Is it a better way of getting a communication device for your business activities? In this episode, I'm going to be explaining all of that and helping you understand if you should do it, why maybe it's not a good idea. Also, the different types of deals out there, the different types of mobile phones, the contracts and everything. So hopefully after this episode, you will find it interesting and it will cover you if you're thinking about this. So let's do that, shall we?
Working for yourself, I know you love it. Working for yourself, cause I love it too. Working for yourself, Zulf talks about it, making it easy for you. Working for yourself, go be your own boss. Working for yourself, Zulf will help you along. Working for yourself, powered by trusted creators, ZulfTalks.com.
Hello and thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you on as always. We are going to be today looking at this in more detail. So this is season 12, episode 21. So well done if you made it this far. If you haven't already done so, you can check out the back catalogue in this series of working for yourself. I'm basically going through my journey of setting up my business and covering everything that I'm doing throughout this process from start to finish. Such episodes in the past like working for yourself, getting an accountant, how to set up your company, should you set up a company, should be self-employed, loads of different topics around this area where we basically looked at being a director, being a CEO, the benefits. All this was an interesting topic, so make sure you check out the previous episodes. However, today we are focusing mainly on the business contract side of things. So if you're in the market at the moment, I've been looking at this for about a year. So 12 months. So in this episode, you're going to get a consolidated view of everything I thought about. Maybe it's something you would also be thinking about at this moment in time if you're thinking about a contract or a mobile phone. It's not a massive decision. However, if you've already got contracts in your own name and you use SIM cards and you're doing a lot of business on your own device, it makes sense to have that in the company name because it's going to be solely for the company use. And in that example, why would it be a good thing? Why you should think about doing it in today's episode? I am going to be breaking that down. So hello, thank you for joining me. I'm your host Zulf and this is the Working for Yourself Zulf Talks podcast, and we discuss everything basically around working for yourself. And yeah, so we want to give you a little update on the process so far. Right now I've been doing a lot of research around setting up the company. We've already had a year's worth of accounts. So recently in the previous episode I talked about doing my accounts, like the first year accounts for your tax returns and all those things. We talked a little bit about that. We talked about accountants in the previous episodes. But with this today I want to look at a mobile phone. I'm going to explain the phone that I got, and how I got to this phone, and also the gubbins around that. First up, let's look around. Why should you get a phone, a mobile? Why should you get a mobile contract in business name? I think that's what I'm going to give the title, so I just have got that here for you. So a business contract is going to be something that would allow you to have a mobile phone which is only business related. So now I've got this phone, the mobile number in that is going to be only for my business use. So when I'm not doing business, I turn that phone off, put that one away, and I've got my normal phone for like daily stuff. So there's a reason for doing that. You want to separate, ideally. It's difficult to do because if you're working for yourself, you're always going to be working. Like there's no real turn off point. So you'll notice that when you're setting up a company or self-employed, you basically don't have any off or on times. But it is important for your personal health and well-being to make sure you can have like a separation. So that's benefit one, to have a phone separately, to use that for business, and everything's on there. So what I've done is I'll talk through you about the process of all the stuff I put on there. It took me about 4 hours to try and take things off and decide which things are business and which are not. And to be honest, nearly 95% of the things I did on my personal phone were all business related. So I've moved them all onto that phone now. So I know, okay, that is definitely business. It's not personal. And the benefit here is, number one, you're going to get peace of mind. All your business stuff is on that one phone. And you know that one phone. Or you can have multiple phones. If you want to set up multiple phones, you can do. I've set up 2 SIM cards in this phone. One is for business use and one is for, because I use my old number a lot for business. There's going to be a transition period where things are going to be still being used for business. However, I need to move them over to the new SIM card. So that's a business contract. You can have up to, depending on your credit search and your history, you can have up to 7 phones for your business. If you've got a team of people, you can give it as a perk. That's like a big thing that you can do. A perk of working for a company is you get a mobile phone, a business mobile phone. So you don't have to use your own data or whatever if you're doing, especially if you're doing online digital media, etc. So it can be a part of the employee benefits package if you're employing like people in your team as you grow bigger. And you can have a set of mobile phones. So you can have the latest iPoop or something. So I've gone for a Galaxy A53 5G. So it was important for it to be 5G because we get faster speeds when we're out and about, especially with the new 5G coverage coming out. So let's look at this now in a bit more detail. What exactly is going on here? First, I looked at different options for business internet and I did a search saying, can I get business mobile phone contract in my business name? Should I do it? My accountant mentioned I should, but to be honest, I was only really paying £20 a month for my like data plan for my phone. So I was like, it's not a massive expense. I don't mind paying it myself, but it makes sense if you're not doing that much personal stuff. The majority of it is business, then why not having the business name? Because it makes sense. Now I've taken this new phone out. It's £27 a month, the phone and the SIM card, and that's with EE. So that's like a nice little view there. So if you're listening to the podcast, my lava lamp has just exploded. If you're watching us live on the video version of this today, then you're enjoying the view of this. So yeah, I am on my zulftalks.com website where you can get the video version of this podcast if you want to follow along. However, if you're watching on the YouTube, hello. If not, you're listening to the podcast. So I have tailored this for you. I will be speaking through the screens I'm showing today. Right now, I've brought up the Vodafone screen. This is just to give you an example of the types of things out there. So this is a website where you can basically get a network provider. If you're in a different country, just look at like AT&T and those kind of like different suppliers and see which one does good coverage for you. I am currently with O2 on my personal mobile phone, and in the past year the reception has been really bad. So at home I've got Virgin Media broadband, and a couple of days that went down, so I had to rely mostly on my mobile phone signal, and then I discovered that my O2 signal is ridiculous. It's not very good at all in terms of the service, and I've had that for about 15 years, but I've always used it at home on the Wi-Fi, so I've never realized how bad the signal was until Virgin Media let us down and we didn't have any internet for a bit. So I was like, well, that's a massive issue there. Like you need a contingency for that. So if your internet goes down, do you have a backup? So realistically, this being a business phone, I can tether to this, make it a hotspot and do my business activity, carry on without like any interruptions. So it's got 5G. Now I looked at Vodafone first, and the coverage was not good in my area, as well as their pricing was quite expensive considering the types of the data they were offering you. So look, for example, here's a 36-month contract I'm looking at with a Samsung S22 phone. There's a 2 GB limit on data and it's £38.50. Okay, phone's quite a new phone, so maybe that's the pricing difference in there. They do offer Apple and Samsung, and they've got a few Google phones and the wide variety of things. So with this, I did actually take out a separate contract before this 6 months ago with 3 were meant to be really good for a business contract. They were cheap in price, customer service wasn't very good, and also they kind of told me I'm getting good signal in my area. They did a search for me, but when I got the SIM card, I was barely getting 3G. So right now we're at 5G. I was barely getting 3G. 4G I was getting with O2, and 5G is a new signal now boost where you get like higher speeds. So with 3G wasn't good enough at home, so I had to cancel that contract because I had like a 14-day cooling off period. That was a business contract, and then after that it just left a sour taste. I was like, you know what, maybe it's just, yeah, it just wasted a lot of time and going through that process. Because when you're doing a business account, especially with a mobile phone, it's quite like intense. You have to go through and give them like loads of information, like the corporation date of the business. You have to provide IDs, etc. It's like a credit check and all this stuff. So providing you've got good credit history and you can have mobile phone contracts, there's no reason why you can't, take a contract out. So that was my initial impression with 3. Didn't do very well. 02 I didn't bother with because the reception is ridiculous with my phone, and a business contract would be the same thing. I ended up going with EE. I do have another EE personal SIM card, and that kind of gets me decent. Whenever I don't get signal on my O2, I get signal on my EE. So I thought, well, that's the place I need to go. I went online on EE Shop to see if I could take a contract, and their website was a bit misleading. So it's like not straightforward as they make out, is it? With these things, when you see them, you're like, oh yeah, okay, that looks good, I'll apply. But when you go to apply, you discover how difficult they make it for you. So you can do sales inquiries, you can speak to someone on chat. Yeah, they didn't have much knowledge about what I wanted to see that pop out there. Need help, live chat there. It comes up straight away as if they can help you. First of all, it's going to be a robot. So it's like an AI fake person trying to act like it's not a fake person. By the time you discover it's not a real person, they put you through to someone else. And the real person is more useless than the robot. So that was been my experience. So yeah, EE Business Shop. So I checked online. I went through the steps to apply. And I got to a point where this will happen to you if you've got multiple offices. So I've got an office address and I've got a home address. I didn't want my mobile phone going out to my office address. I wanted it coming to me. So I want to register the whole office address as the main address for the contract. However, for postal address, I wanted the phone to come to me. They don't give you the option on the EE website. So EE, they're tailoring this for businesses, and they will know businesses, limited companies will have multiple offices. So it's very, yeah, it's not very good that they don't offer this basic service that, okay, your office is registered here, we can send your phone to your second office because you're not always in the head office, you're in the second office. That seemed to be like, cowboyish from their side. So they need to update their website for that. So in the end, I did a search on Google and I discovered that I can get an EE contract from an EE shop. So EE is basically, think of like AT&T, it's just a network provider. If you're in America, you're listening to my podcast, it's just a supplier for your, your mobile phone signal. And I went into the shop. And the first time I went into the shop, well, actually, no, I called them first. I called EE and I said to them, okay, I'm looking for a business contract. Can I come in store? Can I do it? What do I need? They was like, yeah, ID, business incorporation certificate, bring your passport and a bill, and we can set it up. So I went into the main, like one of the big ones. The business advisor wasn't there, so that had to wait 5-10 minutes. They called him in. Then we started the process. They're salespeople, so they're always going to try and sell stuff to you more than what you need. So always when you go into these types of situations where you're getting a new product, do your research and know what you want. So I knew for my mobile phone, I needed one mobile phone. Maximum 10 gigabyte data would be sufficient because I don't do much outdoor use of it. However, having the option there for 10 gig is enough for me. A simple phone like this is not a flagship phone. It's not the most expensive or the fancy phone, but it's got 5G. It's a Galaxy A53 5G Samsung phone. It's like the budget range of phones, but the highest one at the moment. Currently, I'm recording this on the 2nd of February 2023. You're probably hearing this later on down the line because I record these in advance. And yeah, the phone is okay. So overall, the phone itself, I can put 2 SIM cards in there. I can put a memory card in there to expand the storage. It's got good cameras. It's got fingerprint recognition. It doesn't have wireless charging. So for a new phone, that's a bit of a letdown, but yeah, it doesn't matter. In the box, they don't give you everything with it. So you get like a really slim box. You get a USB cable, Type-C cable, and you get the phone. No case, no charging brick to plug it into the wall. They're cutting back on these devices in terms of the extras you get. So then I had to go to another shop and buy a protective case for it. That cost me £5.50, not bad. So I've got a bit of protection on the phone, and the phone is okay. It took a little while to transfer everything from my phone to that phone. I'll do another episode about the most essential apps I use for business. That might be a good episode. Let me note that down. Essential apps for business, because otherwise I'll forget it. Yeah, so I've noted that down now, so I'll make another episode after this to explain that. So coming back a little bit to explain the benefits of the phone now. Why do we need this? Firstly, I've gone into a bit of a ramble. I gave you the story of what happened, and that was like, hopefully you followed along to see what happened and how I got the phone. Yeah, so I got to the point where I went to the shop. I went in, the guy wasn't there. They had to call him. He came in. I had all my paperwork ready. And he asked me, do you know what phone you want? I said, yes, I want this phone. I want this data. I'm expecting to pay X amount. So they always try and make you feel like they're giving you a discount when they're not. So he said to me, okay, there'll be a £50 upfront cost for the phone, but I'll reduce that down to £10. And I was like, well, I've already looked online. Online, it's £27 for the phone and it's £10. So you're not really giving me a reduction, are you? Because if I bought it online, I could have got the same deal. And he's like, oh, okay, if you get a second SIM, I can reduce the second SIM. So I thought, okay, you know what, I was thinking about doing a second SIM because one, I can transfer my existing O2 because the service on that wasn't very good. So I ended up transferring my existing O2 onto a better deal with them at a lower price in the company name because that phone number was mainly being used for business. So remember, everything on that phone needs to be business related. I have got another phone where I use it for personal use. So that's in my own name and I pay the bill for that out of my own bank account. This business one will be entirely business, like we mentioned earlier. And there's two numbers there. One number which everybody has for me, which means they still call me on that for business use. So I will need to transition from that to my new number, and I can set up a WhatsApp business for that number as well. So I've got two numbers as well as identification to make it more secure and safe. So that was the journey. It took about 2 hours. It was quite a lot of time to get it all sorted out. He got the phone, he activated it. We had to call my old supplier to get a pack code to transfer the number over. The new phone, so far I've been using it for 2 days. I am impressed. It's nothing fancy. It's not Snapdragon fancy gaming thing, but for work use, for everything I need to do for work, will be fine. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, live streams, all that kind of stuff works perfectly fine on there. So if you're in this boat and you're in a business situation, is this the first thing you should do? No, not really. So remember I did an episode about explaining what you should do when you set up a company. Let me check what number that was so you can know which one it was. So in episode 19, I covered things I learned as being a managing director. So if you can listen back to episode 19 in season 12, you'll see like the benefits of being a CEO, and I talked about things that you need to keep in mind. So that links back to this episode where now we're in the journey where we need to get a mobile phone and there's a contract. So firstly, if you take out a mobile phone in your own name, you will pay for it from your own account, your personal account. If you take out an account in a company name, the company pays the bill. So in a way, if you're making profit in your company and you need to have a mobile phone, it's more efficient to pay for the company things in the company account because it's an expense for you to do your business. So you need to ask yourself, how much do you use your phone? Is it justifiable for it to be in the company name? And should the company pay the bill? In my case, yes, answers all of those. Also, my accountant mentioned in my first year, it's like, you don't really have a business contract. I was like, I do everything on my own personal phone. And because a majority of it was business, they suggested getting a contract. So I was going to get a contract and I thought, okay, let's just do it. And now that I can have up to 7 contracts, I'm going to offer the team. Like if you've got a team and staff, you can offer them a benefit. So I think next year I'll just get all new phones for everybody and have like 7 phones. So that's a benefit. In addition to that, are there any additional perks? There are a few perks of getting mobile phones in the business name because you can separate. We mentioned this earlier, but let's look at some of the more details. There are a few common things you need to think about. Is it cheaper to get a mobile phone in the business name? So yeah, in short, there's like it's normally cheaper to get a mobile phone contract in a business name because the business consumer side of things gives you a specific price for the data, as well as if you go with a certain provider, they're less likely to hike the price for a business contract. If you're on a deal, it stays in that deal for that amount of time, and you can go on to a 12-month or 24-month contract with those. And with this phone itself, it's been like a nice little addition. But the only thing now is I have to carry 2 phones around with me, and I've also put a little stick on the back of it to put the number on, so I have to learn a new number. And the plans there are interesting. They give you like additional benefits of keeping like you up ahead of normal customers, so you're always going to have signal where you need it. And there's different business plans out there. You can claim it as an expense on your account, which basically means you don't pay for it directly, your company pays for it. And are there any disadvantages? Well, there's a few things. You don't want to be using it for personal use, and also you don't want to damage it really, because then it's like you want to take insurance out on the company name, so if something goes wrong, you've got cover for that. But yeah, I think that's a nice little overview for you to speak about that. What I will do is I'll do another episode where I'll speak a bit more in detail about transferring data from one phone to another, and if it's any good for Android or iPhone. So hopefully you'll see me on the next episode. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. It would be really good if you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. The show resources are available at zulftalks.com. You can also sign up to the mailing list there, which will allow you to get information to help you on your journey working for yourself.